Okay, for the last year and a half, my daughter has been dyeing her hair this beautiful dark brown color, which looks fantastic on her, but it's pricey. So she wanted to go back to her natural hair color, which is kind of this beigey blonde, dirty blonde. But so she's been bleaching it, and this is what we ended up with right before prom. Was this kind of this picture doesn't do it justice. It's like a greenish orange with chunky blonde highlights, really unattractive. So we're gonna see if Brad Mondo bleaching can save prom.
So 3 days before prom, my daughter tells me she wants to go fully to blonde if she can before prom. So I texted my girlfriend Carly, who's my hairdresser, and she didn't have any appointments, but she said if we wanted to try and get her back to blonde, we'd probably have to lift her entire hair and try to get as much color as we could out, then put down a darker base color and leave out some highlights, and then tone the whole thing and hopefully get the colors we wanted. So being that we didn't have Carly as an option, we decided to go ahead and try it at home, which was kind of scary because I really did not want to make my daughter's hair fall out or turn green or orange or anything. So we decided to go ahead. I researched the snot out of stuff and came across Brad Mondo and L Bangs and watched like 100 videos and bought Blonde Me and Olaplex and a mineral detoxifier. And Friday afternoon, everything got there, fortunately. And so we did the Olaplex 0, 3, 4, and 5. We did the detoxifier and got ready to start this process of bleaching her hair. So we're about to start the test strip to see if this is going to destroy her hair or if we can pull this off. So as you can see, her hair looks like a hot mess. It's got these huge chunks of blonde next to these huge chunks of orange with a green undertone. The tips are darker than the rest of the hair. It looks like it's gonna be a really difficult process to make this turn out well, and so I'm super nervous. I'm sure that the lady meant to do nice things, but this is looking like it's gonna be hard.
So after doing some research, we decided to go with the Blonde Me line because it's got essentially Olaplex in it. It's a bond enforcing one, and we decided to go with the 20 volume developer because Lexi's hair lifts really quickly, so we didn't want to overdo it. So we looked on the instructions for the Blonde Me, and it said to mix it at a 1 to 1.5, 1 to 2, or 1 to 2.5 ratio. And we didn't need a lot, so we decided to go with the 1 to 2 ratio because it was smack dab in the middle. And so we put in 5 grams of the bleach and then added about 10 grams of the developer for about 15 grams all total to do that test strip, which was more than adequate. And then we're just gonna mix this up and then kind of judge the consistency. Brad Mondo says you want a liquidy thick consistency versus liquidy peanut butter. See, I was listening. This seems actually really fluffy, so it seems pretty workable, so I'm gonna go with this and we'll get her hair, put gloves on and get her hair ready. All right, so we've got gloves on and we grabbed our foil. Brad Mondo said it's a good idea to lay down a little bit of bleach on the foil itself if you want to get some good saturation with your product. So we went ahead and did that, starting about a ½ inch down from the top of the foil. Then we laid our hairpiece down and continued to layer on just tons of product because Brad says that the more you get on there, the more even lift you're gonna get, and to just kind of work it between the strands of hair and really just coat everything. So that's what we did. Test strip ready to go. So I'm only gonna let this sit for about 15-20 minutes before I check it, just because previously I know that when we've bleached her hair previously, her hair has lifted super fast. It might take longer to get through the dye that she's been using down at the tips of her hair, but I really don't want to over process her hair and lose some of that integrity. So I'm just going to close this up for now, and we'll set our timer for 15 or 20 minutes and check it at that time. So it's been 10 minutes, and I remembered that once it starts to get blonde, we want to do her root. So I'm going to check on it now and just kind of see where we're at. It feels pretty warm. So hopefully, yeah, that's starting to lift a little bit. We're in like a very orange stage, but it's starting to lift. I think I'm gonna give it 5 more minutes before I do her root, and then I have a little cap we can put on her head and we'll be good. So we're at 20 minutes of development time. And let's take a peek. Ooh, that's looking really good. Still obviously like a little orange in there. The hair feels really strong. Yeah, the hair's feeling nice and strong. We're getting a good lift out of that. Looks really, really orange under there. So obviously still needs to develop, but I think it's time to do her root. I have to say the stuff smells like really good. There's no like intense chemical smell. It smells like flowers. I can't put my finger on which type of flower, maybe a gardenia or something. Anyway, it smells crazy good. I'm gonna switch to a smaller brush so I don't get the rest of her hair involved in this. So I'm just trying to hit the root of our test strip here instead of anything else, and trying not to overlap. I'm not being super great about that. Flipping up to get the underside here. And the underside actually looks a little more processed than the upper side. I'm assuming that's just heat from her head. So, okay, we've got that root now, and we're ready to go. Okay, so Brad Mondo says spray the inside of a cap and put it on. I don't know if we really need to do this for our test strip, but what can it hurt, right? Okay, now she has this cool cap on. She's feeling pretty cool in it. All right, we'll see. We'll give it another 5 minutes and check it. I think it's been on for like 45 minutes now on the longer strands and 20 minutes on her roots. If you can hold the back so I don't rip it into that foil. Sorry. Okay, that is looking super lightened at her root. So hopefully the inside is finished processing. And I think that actually looks really good. It's like kind of more yellow. We're still okay on her hair strength, so that's good. So we're gonna take this out, and it's still a little dark down at her very bases, or down at the very tips, I should say. So we'll have to see how that plays out with her real hair. Right now we're gonna wash this out and come back and see what we got. Okay, so this is the results of our test strip. You can really see next to her darker strands, like how far we've come. That's a big change. And at first when we pulled the color out, the bottom still looked quite a bit darker than the roots did. As it's drying, it's actually looking like less of a difference than I thought. So we're gonna go ahead and apply the color that we wanted for our like darker base tone and see if it kind of uniformly takes to the hair and has like that nice beige color we're looking for. Okay, so for our kind of more base color, we picked Royal Agora by Schwarzkopf because I don't know, it seemed like it's probably fine to mix and match whatever brand you want, but
I don't know, I was already doing the Blonde Me by Schwarzkopf and seemed like a good option. So we have a 20% developer again for our hair color, and it's supposed to mix at a 1-to-1 ratio. We picked the 8-4, which is the light blonde beige. So hopefully this will go on really seamlessly, and we're gonna do it at that 1-to-1 ratio.
So I wanted to make sure we had enough of this color to cover her whole head in case we decided not to pull out highlights. So I just eyeballed a 1-to-1 ratio to use as little as possible.
That looks about even to me. So we're gonna mix that up and put it on this single strand with a foil again so we don't get the color anywhere else. Okay, so this hair is pretty much dry, and you can kind of see, it's kind of hard to see, but the color does, this is still like a little damp right here, so it's looking like a little bit darker, but you can see it kind of fades to like a more yellow blonde, and then as you get down towards the tips, it is a little bit darker. So we'll see, hopefully this color will pull things through and everything will be fine. Okay, so we're just gonna fit this foil right up here. This is not because I need to foil, but just because I don't want this color to get on anything else. All right, so I finished putting that Schwarzkopf Agora on there. It already looks like it's changing color, so that's good. So the 8-4 Blonde Beige Agora is actually a color, not a lightener, obviously. So what I kind of wanted to do is take another section of Lexi's hair here that is also dark, and see what happens if we just put the Agora color on it. Okay, so I have a foil here. I've mixed up some more of that blonde beige color. This is just to see if we can really get this color without doing that intermediary step of bleaching. But my guess is we probably will have to, because this is kind of, it's a pretty dark color and it's really orange. So at the very least, we may have to tone on top of the color because it's just so orange. All right, so we have reached 30 minutes of developing time, which was what the instructions suggested. So let's take a look and see how close these are to looking the same. So that one looks really good. It looks like a beautiful blonde beige, like it's supposed to. I mean, obviously we need to wash it out, but let's take a look at this one. So yeah, you can see that the one on the left hasn't really lifted a ton. It definitely looks less orange. But these two are definitely not the same color. One is definitely darker than the other. So we will have to do this intermediate step of bleaching everything before we can then put color back in and put highlights in to give it dimension. So more complicated, more time, but I think probably totally worth it. Okay, so we're here with our final results. This side, minus this little piece that got in there wonky, is the original piece that we bleached and then put in the color beige blonde. And this is the piece we tried to just do the beige blonde in. As you can see, there's like a huge difference between those two colors. One is a lot darker than the other. And this is the color we're going for with like a little bit of an ash toned root. It's a beautiful, beautiful beige blonde, exactly what we were looking for. So far so good, and we're gonna go ahead with the whole head. Okay, we are back, ready to do this full hair. Yes, this is a little gutsy doing this right before prom, which is why we did the test strip, which turned out fantastic. So we are going to go ahead with the full head here. The strength on her hair in that beige blonde section that we did maintained really well, like So good. So we are gonna go ahead and section her hair.
I'm sure it's super easy for professional hairstylists to do 4 quadrants all at once and do it fast and get all the timing down right and make sure everything processes at the same time, but I'm a novice and I'm not a hairstylist, I'm a nurse. So I'm just gonna go separate it into 4 sections and then do 1 section at a time. So hopefully I can get everything to process for the right amount of time and have as close to perfect results as possible.
Turn her the other direction. And section behind the ear on this side. And yes, we have a garbage bag over the seat because we didn't want to get bleach on it. That's the crinkling you keep hearing. And Brad Mondo did this video, and it was more for professionals and people who know what they're doing. But I hope I can copy him enough, because really what I would love to have my daughter have out of today is a professional look. So I know I probably won't actually for reals get there, but we're gonna try. All right, so we have her hair sectioned into 4 sections here. And I have my first piece out and ready to go. So now we're just gonna mix up the bleach. We're using the Blonde Me 9 levels of lift, 1. And just gonna mix it in a 1-to-2 ratio like we did before. So here we go with the developer, the Blonde Me. This is the Blonde Me 20 volume developer. So we should be at 126 when we're all done here. 126, okay. And like I said before, I'm gonna actually apply it to that lowest part of her hair first. We are gonna be cutting off about 2 inches of her hair when this is all done, so that should also lighten the ends, but I'm gonna see if we can get the tips of her hair just a little bit more lightened than we had before. Okay, so this is still like a little bit more on the peanut buttery side, so I'm gonna go ahead and put a little bit more developer in to make it on like the runny side of thick, hopefully. That looks a little bit better, a little bit more like his consistency on his video. Okay, so that's probably like a 2.5, 1 to 2.5 ratio, probably. So here we go, and we're gonna start putting this on her hair. All right, so in Brad Mondo's video that was admittedly for professionals, which I am not, he said to go ahead and get some on your foil first, which I thought would be really handy because it'll help it stick. And then need to get this like right up underneath her hair, and then start about a 1/2 inch down and go to 10. Oh, I forgot that I was gonna do the tips first. We'll just put a little bit more on the tip and we'll come back. This will be our not the greatest one. Okay, so I'm gonna get her tip here really good. Said it's really important to lay on just like a ton of product and really make sure you're getting in between all the hairs. So that's what I'm gonna do, because I want to make sure that I've got like a really an even lift, and I'm assuming that a bunch of product makes it more of an even lift. So here we go, and I will not do the mid part on the next ones. So, and we'll go back and I don't know how we'll do that, but we'll try to go back and do the mids. All right, see you on the other side.
So here you can see that we got the one side really brightened next to the other one that's really dark. However, the tips of her hair were still quite a bit darker than the roots, so we needed to figure something out.
Okay, so quick update. We did this side, and as you can see, We did wait to put it on the roots, but the roots still got hotter than the rest of the hair. So, and the mid was pretty good, but then the bottom was still a lot darker than the rest of the hair. So we decided, since we were going to need to process the bottom for longer anyway, that we would take the ends from this section as well and just put them in, so that we can, since we're gonna have to process it twice anyway. So the hair still had a lot of really good integrity. It's not stretching anywhere, so hopefully this will work and not cause a crazy amount of damage. Okay, bye. Okay, so here we are starting to do this next section. We already bleached the bottom, so there's like a tiny bit of shadowy banding right here, but I'm hoping it'll just kind of knock out, and then hopefully that banding will be on. So we will go ahead and start bleaching this with foils. Okay, so here we are. First two sections are done, and I'm pretty happy. I feel like the color is pretty consistent between the two. One side doesn't really look darker than the other side to me. The bottom is still just a little bit darker, which was kind of what we were expecting. But all in all, I'm really happy. Okay, so as I'm doing the front portions of her hair, as you can see, there's a lot of highlights in there. So first I'm going on a diagonal like Brad suggests, and then I'm gonna actually, some of these more highlighted areas, like right here, I'm actually gonna pull out to the side of the foil so they're not getting fully processed all over again. So hopefully we can kind of protect her hair integrity. So we'll see how that goes. All right, so here is the freshly washed, finally finished bleaching hair. Some of the roots look a little bit hot, but not crazy. Had so many different colors and shades in there that I'm pretty happy with where we got it. So we are going to dry it a little bit and then get on to the color that we're gonna put on, that blonde beige. Okay, so we have hair sectioned and we are ready to start applying color. We don't have a ton, so I'm kind of worried, but we are gonna give this a go. Okay, so after dyeing her hair, it looks so much better. This is a beautiful beigey blonde, a little on the yellow side, and obviously her roots are very monotone, so we're going to be going in with a toner, doing the Brad Mondo and Elbang's method, getting that shadow on the root first and waiting for a few minutes, and then doing the toner through the whole hair just to kill out some but not all of that yellow tone. Okay, wish me luck. Okay, so we went up the back, kind of in horizontal sections, and then once I got kind of here, we went vertical sections, extending the hair far back like this, so that we would get that nice fade, hopefully, that Brad talks about in his video. Yes, I am hoping to be an A+ student, although I doubt that's gonna happen. But at least it won't be an F. Cross my fingers. Okay. All right, here we are with the toner applied through the whole hair. And we tried to be really good about making sure we covered evenly and thoroughly. And we've got our timer set. And in a little bit, we're gonna wash this out and hopefully it'll look awesome. Cross my fingers. Pray to the hair gods. Okay, and finished results are in. I only straightened that one piece, so, but it's a nice kind of beigey blonde, just what we were going for. Some kind of silver undertones. That purple we left in for 15 minutes on the roots, which gave her that nice little shadow. And then we left it on the rest of her hair for 10 minutes. I think we possibly could have gone more, but I really am happy with the shade we ended up with, especially considering that we started with dark orange. So we went from this really, really dark brown, which looked fantastic on her,
to this really unattractive, it's not like a nice red, it's a really yucky orange with chunky highlights, to this beautiful beige blonde. Last thing that I forgot to mention is that we used the Blonde Me Ice Toner with the 10 volume 2% to tone her hair. So if you're looking for that product, that's what we used. And Brad's method of shadowing the roots totally worked. As you can tell, she's got that kind of darkened, more ashy root right at her base, which looks awesome. For reference, this is her natural hair color. And obviously we went a lot lighter than her natural hair color, but I think it looks absolutely fantastic on her, and she looked great in all her prom pictures and was super happy with the results that we got from the Brad Mondo bleaching method. So the answer is yes, Brad Mondo bleaching can save prom. So thank you so much, Brad, and thank you, Elle Bangs, and thank you, Carly.